Hi, this is the story of a little girl called Nila. She stayed with her Dada and her Dadi. Dada and Dadi lived in a lovely complex with a lot of friends and neighbors. And they also had a space where Nila could play. And Nila was allowed to go out and play too. And there were places where she could pick flowers and so many other things. The only rule in the house was Nila couldn't cross the gate far away because that led to the railway track. Nila always remembered this. She went to the edge but never crossed it. Every time Nila left home, she took a little basket with her. It was a lovely cane basket which Dadi had given her. And in that, Nila brought home lovely flowers and herbs. The flowers, Dada and Dadi decorated in a vase or they offered it to God. And the herbs were used by Dadi in her delicious cooking. One night there was thunder and rain and Nila was a little scared. And then Dadi told her something really interesting. Dadi told her that when there's thunder and rain, there can be mushrooms which grow overnight. Nila was very excited when Dadi told her this. So the next morning, Nila took her basket and she was just going along and she saw mushrooms. There was an entire row of mushrooms leading till far away. Nila looked at it and thought, I can pick these mushrooms. But then she thought, Dadi told me that some of the mushrooms can be poisonous. Let me see if this is like what Dadi showed me. She went close by and she saw the flower-shaped cracked mushrooms just the way Dadi had shown her. And Nila picked the mushrooms and walked along picking the mushrooms. There were lots of them and she was planning a party in her head and thought, I'm going to ask Dadi to make lots of mushroom curry and we're going to call all our neighbors. Everybody is going to enjoy it so much. And as she was picking, Nila didn't see where she was going and she kept on walking. Suddenly, she tripped and she fell down. When she fell down, the mushrooms in her basket also all fell down. Now Nila crouched low and started picking all the mushrooms that had fallen. And when she saw there were more mushrooms at the other side, suddenly she heard a thundering noise. Nila got so scared, she thought it was thunder again. She just shut her eyes and hit herself. And then she felt something go. There was a noise, but Nila just didn't move. Meanwhile, at home, Dadi looked at the time. It was almost 12 o'clock. Then she thought, why isn't Nila back? And as she came out, she realized Nila had crossed the gate and gone out. Dadi was so afraid. She ran out and just as she went there, she saw Nila trip on the tracks and the 12 o'clock train just came in, chugging along. It went faster and faster. She saw Nila crouch and Dadi couldn't even scream. She was so terrified. She just looked, and as she was standing there, all the neighbors came running because they had all seen Nila go that way. And all of them saw Nila right under the train and they didn't know what to do. They all ran towards the railway tracks. The train crossed and they saw Nila's inert body just sitting there. And Dadi just didn't know what to do. Suddenly, Nila just slowly looked up, and then there was no longer any thunder. She was so relieved. She started walking across the track because there were more mushrooms there. Dadi and all the neighbors saw her going, and Dadi signed to all of them not to scream at her. They just called out calmly. Dadi said, Nila, Nila, come back here, sweetheart. And Nila said, Dadi, I'm getting you some mushrooms. Dadi waited till Nila finished picking the mushrooms and she came back. When she came back, all the neighbors wanted to shout at her, but Dadi just kept quiet and shook her head at them. Nila came home. She couldn't contain her excitement. She kept telling everybody how wonderful it was and how many mushrooms there were. And she said, we can go out and pick more mushrooms with a bigger basket. Dadi said, this is more than enough, sweetheart. Come, let's go home and let's have a lovely meal for all of us. This is exactly what Nila wanted, right? So she went home, and when she smelled all the mushrooms cooking, she was so excited. She opened the door to all the neighbors and everybody came in. And Dada sat at the table and said, Nila, see, the star dish is the mushrooms that you picked. And Nila was so happy. And Dada said, where did you go to pick it, sweetie? And Nila said, Dada. Oh, I'm sorry, Dada. I didn't realize. I went out of the gate. And Dada said, do you think it's safe to go out of the gate? Do you know how much danger you were in, Nila? Nila said, no, Dada. But when I was picking the mushrooms, there was thunder. There was such a terrible thunder. It went right across my head. Dada calmly looked at her and said, Nila, you were just very lucky, and so were we. That was the train going right over you. Something very bad could have happened. Please listen to us and don't cross the gate, my girl. And Nila suddenly realized what had happened and said, Dada, I was so excited with all the mushrooms that I forgot all about the railway tracks, Dada. And Dada said, yes, baby, I know. That's what happens when we all get very excited. We forget the dangers that are around us. But hereafter, my little girl, you are going to remember to be very, very careful. All right? And Nila said, Dada, I'm so sorry, Dadi. I'm so sorry, Dadi, for making you all so tense. I didn't realize. I'm so sorry, she said. This is the story of little Nila and how her Dada and Dadi told her very calmly that she was wrong, but didn't shout at her. That was a lovely way of handling it, don't you think? Thank you so much for listening to me. If you liked it, please hit the like button. Do subscribe to my channel. And if you want to leave a comment, you can go on to Facebook and go to my page, SMITHA's Kaleidoscope. I'm on Instagram too. Thank you so much.